What is up, everybody? As always, I hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm finally making a video on Notion. No one asked for it, however, I did make a poll on my Instagram and everybody seemed to want to see this video, so here it is finally. Notion, it's like probably the only app that I've never changed ever since I've gotten it. I've tried to, but I can't. And I'm someone that loves to try different apps to see how they can fit within my workflow. So there are a lot of apps that I end up changing quite often, especially if you've seen any of my other videos on like my phone setup, my computer setup, stuff like that. My to-do list app tends to change a lot, because of different contexts. Sometimes I need something that enables me to work a bit more with larger projects. Sometimes I like to have it a bit more simple. However, Notion, I haven't been able to change it. I've tried different like competitors and stuff, but nothing's quite like Notion. And instead of changing Notion, what ends up happening is that I change my dashboards. And I work as a UI and UX designer, so I'm really passionate about making, apps look good and making them really ergonomic, both on my desktop as well as on my phone. And that's what I've done with Notion. It is tailored exactly to my personal needs so that I can get my work done a lot easier, faster, and better, of course. So it all starts for me on the dashboard view, or my home page if you want, which is where all of my things are. A lot of people like to use Notion as a second brain, and I kind of fall into that category of people. However, I use it mainly to manage my projects, and that's what my dashboard is there for. So it was really important for me, like I said, to see everything that I need to see as soon as I log in so that I can just get to work right away. So in the center, I have a big calendar view with all of my upcoming videos, all of my upcoming Instagram posts so I can plan ahead, and everything that has to do with my business as well. So all of my upcoming campaigns and stuff like that. And it's super easy to switch, just one click, and then I'm in the next calendar where I can plan ahead, like I said. And when I'm in the YouTube view, which is the view that I use the most currently, I see the status of every video. So I can see, do I need to maybe plan a video? Do I need to write the content? And talking about writing the content, on the left-hand side of this calendar, I have a list view of everything I need to work on currently. So this is split into the different kinds of work, if that makes sense. So the usual view is what I need to write, so to plan the content for my channel. Sometimes I'll switch it up to B-roll. So if I'm shooting B-roll, I can see all the videos I need to shoot B-roll, and I'll shoot all of that together. And just underneath that, I have stuff for my business, so I have blog posts and stuff like that. And then on the right hand side of this dashboard, I have just a few nav links. So there are just a few pages I like to access every now and then, and I use them quite often, however not all the time. On there I have an upgrades page, which is just a page where I log items that I would like to purchase as an upgrade to my, usually the desk or kind of YouTube studio thing if you want to. These can be items for videos specifically, or it could be gear such as lights, cameras, stuff like that. I have an inventory page, which is similar to the upgrades page, however it is what I currently hold. The idea is that well, I like to track what I have, so it's a bit easier if I'm making a video. For example, I've been shooting favorites of the week on my Instagram, and seeing all the things that I've got, it helps a bit to find ideas for those specific videos. When I'll come to doing gift guides and stuff for December, that page will be really handy so I can know everything that I have, and also use it to track stuff from sponsors. So when they're sending products and stuff, I like to track it there. And then if I decide to sell something or whatever, well, I have it all there, so it is easier to manage this inventory. The next page is the sponsors page, which is where I just log the sponsors that I've got or the ones that I might want to work with, which is most of them for now. I have had 2 sponsors so far on the channel, which is amazing considering the size of this channel, so huge thanks to both of them. They were Empire and Pitaka, and I've loved working with these 2 brands. And every now and then I have an idea of another company I'd like to work with, so I'll put it there. And if I create a video that I think they might fit in, well, I'll add the sponsor to that video. I'll message them, email them with a bit of a plan to work together and see how it goes from there. The next area is for notes. I use that a lot. I find that Notion is fantastic for taking notes and writing stuff. I know that there are some more advanced softwares. I've used, for example, Evernote, which I like because you're able to search for like a keyword, for example, and you see all of your notes that had that word in it, which was really useful. Especially if you're someone that takes a lot of notes. And for example, when I was in school, I used it a lot because I would take notes, and then it was easy. Let's say we had an exam on I don't know, like a science subject or whatever. I'd just search that subject and then all my notes would pop up, which would make it a lot easier to find them. However, I don't need that these days at all. These notes are more like post-its, if you will, and that's the reason why I used the specific gallery view for those notes. It's because it kind of represents post-its. It's kind of similar. It's easy to move them around and stuff. I have an inbox, which is, as you might expect, just an inbox. So whenever I'm on the internet, I've used it mostly for articles and for videos that I've seen, and I was like, oh, that's a cool thing. I'd like to take inspiration from that or whatever. I just save them to the inbox right there, and I'll go through it every now and then. I have to say I haven't been keeping up with my inbox a lot. However, I don't use this inbox page a lot. I have other better apps for that specific purpose. One of them is Milanote. If you've seen my video on my computer setup, you've seen that Milanote was an app that I used. I believe their goal was to do something similar to Notion. However, the really cool feature about them is that you have a little kind of button that pops up on images on the web, so you can just save them there, and it kind of creates a board, so it's really nice for that. It's kind of like a Pinterest but for like the entire internet. We then have a bucket list page, which was taken directly from Ali Abdaal. He had, I believe his was called the Energy Management Portfolio or something like that. But the general idea was that it was a place to manage all the things you wanted to do and then kind of decide on what you're working. The basic idea is that you cannot be working at everything at the same time. You need to choose specific things to work on because you have a certain amount of energy and a certain amount of focus. And if you just have a huge list of things you want to do, well, first it might be overwhelming. You're probably not gonna get to all of them. You need to focus on a few things. So that's why this board is really helpful. So I have everything that I want to do, and then I split them into different categories. So I have habits that I'm trying to build. So I'm currently working on working out every day and reading daily. I have been staying on top of my workouts. I've been working out 4 to 5 times a week for maybe 20 weeks or something like that. My goal is to lose weight, and I'm almost at 40 pounds now, so I'm super happy about that. Of course, if you want to lose weight, by the way, it happens more in the kitchen than in the gym, but that's a whole other story. And then reading daily, I haven't been doing that every single day. However, I do read a lot more than I used to, so I'm happy about that. And then for projects, I have Portugal. I want to go to Portugal with my girlfriend, and we have to save up a bit of money for that, as well as planning the trip so that we can make sure that it is a fun trip. And so these things are things that take a bit of energy and a bit of focus, and that's why they all live there. Then in the done category are things that I've done that were on my bucket list and I've finally accomplished. So one of them was starting this YouTube channel, which I've done like almost 9 months ago now. It's been a super fun experience. And then it was launching my media company, which is called Leaders Media. So I do social media marketing and stuff like that. I used to build websites as well. However, I work at a company that does websites. That's their main product. So I don't do websites anymore. There would be a huge conflict of interest there, of course. Another thing I really love about Notion is the ability to create templates. So I have a bunch of templates for different things, which allow me to start to work even faster. For example, when I have a new idea for a YouTube video, I have a template specifically for that. And it has a few prompts, such as there's a brain dump area, so I can just dump all of my ideas or notes and stuff like that, maybe links to these sorts of inspiration, stuff like that. There's also an area to think more about how I'm gonna tell these stories. So I have the intro, the content, the outro. The outro is usually to think of what video I want to point to. And then I have an area to list all of the shots I need to take for B-roll, so I make sure that I don't forget anything. And usually when I'm filming, I have Notion open right there on my laptop. It's always auto frame. However, it is so that I don't forget anything. So I have this kind of huge outline of the video. Sometimes they're a bit longer if I feel like I need a bit more help to find my words and stuff. Or sometimes they're absolutely nothing. It's just empty. It's just like a bulleted list of maybe the products I have and their features for a specific video. And the place where I use templates the most is for work. So when I create a new, well, not anymore because I do UX and UI now. However, I used to do websites for my the company that I work at. And I had a really hard time reviewing my websites once I was done, because I feel like it's a bit hard. You know, you worked like for well, however long it took you to build your website, then you have to find everything that's a problem on your website, and that's kind of hard because you have, you know, you're really short-sighted. You just focused in on your work. So I had a template with a bunch of things to check, and it was a lot easier. Every time I would see that I forget something more and more, I would just add it there. and it was super helpful. And I have another template for meetings, which is probably one of the templates I've used the most. Whenever I have a meeting, I like to be ready for that meeting. So I have a template which asks me if I have questions to ask. They pop up as a to-do, so that as I'm in the meeting, I ask the question, I check it, it's done, asked, I have the answer. There's of course an area to take notes. I take notes on a physical notebook because I feel like it's more respectful, and I can jot down ideas like as sketches and stuff, which I can do on Notion. And then I usually kind of review the meeting after the day to see if I missed anything, and while the meeting is still fresh. And at the end of that template, I have an area for all of the to-dos for next time. So when I have my one-on-ones with my boss, for example, if we have action items within that meeting, I'll note them there, and then I can make sure that they're done for the next meeting. So I do have an area where I can see if I have any to-dos for any meetings. So the workflow for that has been a bit annoying. I was adding my meetings manually one by one in Notion, and I just recently got an account with Zapier to try to automate as much as I could. I set up my Zaps triggers not in the proper way, and now instead of like whenever I get a new invite on my Google Calendar, adding just a single item to my Notion calendar, every time there's an update to any event in my Google Calendar, it adds a new item to the calendar on Notion, which means that, for example, we had like an Halloween party in my calendar, and I know 60 people said they were coming or not and whatever, so I had like 60 something items in my calendar saying Halloween party, Halloween party, Halloween party. So it's not the best, but I will work on that and maybe do another video on Zapier in the future once I get a bit more accustomed to it. And now the last and final app that I use with Notion is called Readwise. So it is an app that allows you to connect highlights from a bunch of different platforms all together into their single app. And the idea is that they'll kind of give you those highlights daily to review so that you don't forget them. However, you can also export all of these highlights to apps, such as Notion in my case. So I have a little dashboard where I can see all the books that I've read or that have highlights within Readwise, and I can see all of these highlights in Notion directly, which is really cool. If let's say a friend asks me for, did you like that book or whatever, I can see my highlights there and kind of make that decision, or just have a refresher on the specific books. It also works for articles if you're using something like Pocket or other Pocket-like apps where you just reading articles and highlighting stuff in there. You can get all of these directly in Readwise and Notion. And also, if you're using something to listen to podcasts such as Air, where you can highlight stuff in podcasts, you'll be able to have them all there. Sadly, Readwise does not work with Audible because Audible doesn't have any of those features. That's it for today. As I said, Notion is a super important part of my entire workflow, and it is one of the apps that are on my computer. And if you want to see the rest of the other apps, go check out this video I made on the subject. I'll also leave another one for the stuff that's on my phone. Notion is once again one of them. It's just my favorite app out there. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.